Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 9 Death Spoilers. I have to give everybody warnings as we go into this, and also to some of you that get here a little bit early, please don't post spoilers and rumors into the chat, because a lot of people post things that they say is rumors and it's been confirmed or it's out there. So when we do the video, wait until we give the warning signs to everybody. Some people are going to want to come in here, hear some of the spoilers. Other people are going to come in here and say, whoa, it's spoilers, let's get out. I don't want to know that information. We have to be respectful to everyone that's out there. And also, I know many of you have watched the Fear episode for next week. Let's hold off on those two. We just want to make sure that we take care of everybody and give people what they want to get whenever they tune in here. Before we get started, I do want to announce we have a brand new channel supporter, a new patron, that is Rashonda Harrington. Thank you so much for your support. And also, you guys can see over in the top right corner below our members, Walking Dead Our World, the 999 Army, which several of us are in, and I have hired help. Actually, he's doing a great job running that, is ranked up to number 3 in the entire world. Awesome, awesome gaming job. You can see that 999 Army is not just about spoilers. We got our games going on, we got our network, everything is happening, and it is awesome, awesome stuff. But tonight we are going to talk about some major developments. I do have to preface this by saying the majority of this information is located and is being put out by the Spoiling Dead's fan page. Several other people had messaged me. I don't know if they have the same source. I don't know if it's someone from that, but this all did confirm. So I know we all get them from different places. You guys know how I feel about spoilers. They are out there. And in fact, one of the spoilers I saw in YouTube just a little bit ago, and the title of the video says exactly what's in it. And it says, The Walking Dead Season 9, Aaron loses his arm. So that is something that's out there right now. I know a lot of people wanted it to be Rick, but here it is. I mean, you guys know what you're getting. The word is that Aaron, in either episode number 2 or episode number 3, will lose his arm. It is not confirmed how he loses it, whether it is a walker bite, whether it is a logging accident, whether it's working on the bridge. There's a lot of equipment being used, and you never know. I mean, you never know how it's going to, if something could get pinned in and his arm gets chopped off. I don't know. We've seen it in the past with a walker bite and someone getting their arm chopped. But I think Robert Kirkman hinted that this would happen. But if it happens with Aaron, it is not going to happen with Rick as well. So that is big spoiler news. If you guys have not seen the other site, and I'm just going to jump right into it because this is going to create a lot of our dialogue tonight. There are some other things that we'll mention, some casting, and also a couple other deaths. But the big death news that is out there right now, once again, another spoiler warning, you have been warned, is that Jesus will die in either episode 8 or episode number 9. That is being reported by Spoiling Dead's fan page once again, that Jesus will be exiting the show, and it looks like it is going to be right along the Whisperer arc. So the thought process is right now that one of those decapitations will be Jesus. So we'll see how that all goes down. There could be a couple other people that go along with it. I will say that that one scene in particular with Rosita and also with Eugene, I'm almost feeling like that's a trap scene, that Rosita and Eugene are there. I'm going to, I want to throw this out there for the group. Do you guys think that maybe Jesus is lurking in the woods, sees this happening, tries to save them, and then he goes down, maybe saves Rosita, maybe saves Eugene? It looks like it happens after the time skip, but I'm still not so sure that that time skip is going down. I just got a feeling it's not going to be 5 or 6 years. The one thing that I will say about the spoilers that were posted today from Spoiling Dead's fan page, they look a little bit more rushed and choppy, and this is what I mean by that. They don't give the full details, they just give like the overview. It's almost like someone calls and says, hey, I got some information for you, but I can't send you the whole thing. Just want to let you know. Write this down really quick. Aaron's going to lose an arm. Jesus is going to die. Henry is going to be Carl 2.0. And it's almost like it was like some real sneaky, quick information, not their usual, hey, this is what happens, and Aaron will be bit by a walker. It's very choppy information. So I don't know if they're just getting it really, really quickly, or if it is, they have more information and they're just not releasing it. My gut instinct is that Spoiling Dead fans page know the fate of Rick at this point, because I think if they're going to get information, that information, they're going to get the big information, right? I mean, don't you feel like the first thing, if you're on the phone with someone that's giving you spoilers, you're probably going to ask several times, like, but wait, okay, I understand this is going down with Jesus. What's going on with Rick? No, thank you. I'm glad you told me that Aaron loses his arm, but what's going on with Rick? And I would probably ask that like over and over again, because that is the only spoiler news at this point that we really give a damn about. So they know it. It's probably out there. And I think it's just going to be one of those things like the Carl thing. They've been sworn to silence and secrecy. But word's got to be out there, whether he dies or whether he doesn't die. Del Marvo, wow, don't like this news. Jesus was never utilized in the show. They did not portray the TV version. I agree with that. I think that the character had a lot more to offer. Coma Drug, you are correct. Lydia has been cast, and it is Cassidy McClinchy. And looks like from Ozark, Love, Simon, and a couple other things. Nothing that I've seen, but Cassidy McClinchy is the actress cast to be Lydia. And if she's cast to be Lydia, I'm not sure what her age is, but it would validate a little bit of a time skip, especially if they're now saying that Henry is going to go into Carl's story or Carl's arc. So a little bit older Henry. But once again, I think you're going to see the time skip back and forth. Not everybody's super comfortable with that, but I think that's the way it has to be played. We're going to have to see and not know when the actors are still a part of the show in the future or if they've been killed off. Just checking out a couple comments here, everybody. All right, let me also give, this is kind of not big news because, they're kind of all good people at this point. But the other news is out there is that Arat and Regina will both die. Don't know how they die, once again. And that's why I said I feel like a lot of information is, they feel like it's confirmed, but it still is very limited information as to how it happens. So, there was a while, a time we probably would have cheered both of them. Now it's like, okay. So, this is who we apparently know at this point, Epic. Gregory, not sure about Earl, if Earl will be spared. I would think that Gregory and Earl both die, but we'll see. So Gregory is definitely confirmed. Jesus is now being confirmed. And Arat and Regina, those are the only four that I think anyone's taken a definitive stand on and saying that's definitely going to happen. So if Lydia is 16-ish, then the time skip would make sense. But you're going to lose so much in that 5-year time skip. I just think it's impossible to skip it and just have everybody forget what happened. So just prepare yourself for a lot of back and forth, in my opinion. So several questions are out there. And one thing that I want to do is I want to tie it into the Maggie storyline. Is Maggie is either going to lose her personal bodyguard in Jesus, Jesus is going to die saving Maggie. But I think we can probably get back on the Maggie story that Maggie's going to get on the boat and just get the hell out of Dodge. How that all plays into it, we can openly debate that. But if Jesus dies in 8 or 9, and that's going to be via whisper, then it is more intriguing right now of what could go down with Rick. So Mike M says Maggie and Rick leave together, I'm betting. Well, that really doesn't work with the time frame, Mike. If you think that Jesus is somehow supposed to last until 8 or 9. Because Rick's going to be gone by 5. And we still think the first interaction with the Whispers is going to be Eugene and Rosita. And look, Jesus has been known to sort of track and keep an eye on people. So maybe Jesus wasn't too far behind, and he's the one that gets surrounded in order to protect Rosita and Eugene. Or all 3 of them get captured. I don't think that would be a terrible introduction for the Whispers. I mean, Rosita was in the comics, and then you replace Ezekiel with Jesus. I'm not happy about it, but if that's the way it's got to go down, that's the way it's got to go down. Or imagine if Eugene, if that coward mode kicks in and he gets away and Rosita and Jesus don't. A lot of good interaction, a lot of good comments. So, I'll pick them here and there. Yeah, I mean, it appears the Aaron losing his arm is just to bring closure to Rick not losing his arm. All right, and we got a super chat. This is Michael Curie. It says, what do you think will happen for Rick to exit? Michael, there's several things that could happen. And one thing that we do here when we do some of the theories and some of the speculation is we try to get as many pieces and see if it can clear like 10 different hurdles. And I think the Rick thing that seems to have the most believability at this point is that it's involved with Jadis and it's involved with another group that's out there. It could be the helicopter. I know it was initially rumored that Rick goes into a herd and gets surrounded, and Michonne's trying to help him, and Maggie's there as well. I don't see that as being a death worthy of Rick Grimes. It's just something I wouldn't care a whole lot about unless baby Herschel is like roaming around and he gets surrounded and Rick jumps in there and saves the baby. But I don't see Maggie like laying him down and forgetting about him. So there's so many things that don't work with that. Because I did really think, if Rick saves Maggie, if Rick lays it on the line for somebody that was originally there, that might help me accept a Rick's death, but I just can't think of a Rick's death that makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, I agree with many of the comments around Jesus, but I also think that over the last season, Jesus has become more of a bodyguard for Maggie. And with Lauren leaving the show, this kind of has the feeling that, well, we really don't want to go and create his arc or recreate what we've already had him doing and let him go on without Maggie. So I feel like that this is, they're kind of intertwined. Jesus dies and Maggie leaves. Maybe he dies protecting Maggie. Maybe they're just completely outnumbered and she makes the move and he's doing things to slow him down. But that also would make me believe there's less chance that Rick would die the same way. So Mr. Shady says, what do you think is going to happen with Negan? So this is the last bit of spoiler information that was included. Once again, this was from Spoiling Dead's fan page. Negan is out of the cell and is wandering around in the woods, is what they are quoted as saying. So how he got out of the cell, what he's doing in the woods, is he trying to get away? Is he just out there checking on some things and he's going to come back? I think someone unlocked a cage and he's just out there. Just for a little stroll until somebody finds him. What are you doing out of here? I didn't leave, did I? You know, kind of like when a cell was unlocked in the comic. So Epic wants to know, do I think Ezekiel will die in the show like in the comics? If we can find a place to pin him there, you know, do we think there's going to be that many decapitations that Ezekiel's going to get decapitated? Maybe Jesus gets decapitated, Rosita. I don't know. I think it's a good question, but we're going to have to see a couple episodes just to see who's hanging out with who. I mean, the writers could put almost any one of these in a position together. They could have Eugene and Arat out gathering berries they want, but I just think we're going to have to wait and see which cliques and which groups sort of break off. But yeah, I don't know with Ezekiel. It would be kind of a sad, beautiful Walking Dead thing for Carol to, you know, she was in an abusive relationship with Ed, and then she moved on, and she found a friend in Daryl, and then now she's gotten more with Ezekiel. And, you know, there's talk of an Ezekiel Carol wedding. You know, Carol finally found that person that is going to support her and care for her. It would be tragic for her to lose someone else, but it would also be kind of along the lines of The Walking Dead, right? Just when you think you're comfortable, something happens. And it also depends on the arc that you want to get to. I mean, you're going to need people to fight the Whisperers. And you're going to need them to be ruthless. And you're going to need to have some loss in order to get to that. So, Carol's almost back to, you know, badass Carol. But I think losing Ezekiel could work a couple different ways. Like, we've got to put an end to the, you know, the enemy once and for all. And she just lost something that she cared about. And it'd be cool to see Carol and Daryl fighting side by side. You know, see both of them go into like crazy mode and just get revenge. So Stoner, I don't think Carol goes to Oceanside instead of Michonne. I think there's one character that they've went on record of saying open-ended, and that's Maggie. So I'm going to ask you, you know, and please post the answer to this question. If you're watching the playback, post that as well. How do you think Maggie leaves in an open-ended exit? And you guys know where I stand on this. Some people are saying a helicopter. Some people are saying Commonwealth. Helicopter, you know, with the baby. So, but there's only so many people that can leave either on the helicopter or leave via boat and go out on their own and do things. So, if we think it's going to be 5 or 6 people, it ain't going to happen that way. I just feel like Maggie is going to get the Michonne storyline. I think Maggie is the one. Michonne is the one in the comic that doesn't like that Rick didn't kill Negan. And Michonne leaves. And I think that role has been cast over to Maggie big time. I mean, Maggie is the female version that is not happy about Negan being alive. And with another enemy around the corner, I could certainly see her taking off and protecting her kid. And remember, in the Michonne game, on the boat, we had Sadiq, we had Pete, and we had Michonne. So, I think Sadiq knows more and is more involved than you realize. Him being out there on his own, just killing walkers for that period of time, I'm still not convinced there isn't a Sadiq-Jadis connection. So Samantha says, will we see the Commonwealth and Whisperers overlap? I don't know that we'll know it's the Commonwealth or we'll confirm it's the Commonwealth. They could just leave it as there's this other group that's out there. The Whisperers, we're going to know they're the Whisperers. Several people are asking, do I think Rosita's pregnant? I don't. I know they were trying to zoom in, and I mean, in the comic, that's her and Eugene's thing. I don't know. I mean, we'll see if her and Eugene have a relationship, but I didn't see anything to make me think that she was. Well, apparently, I know some people were talking about a friendship between Jadis and Tara, and maybe that went beyond friendship. But there's also talk now that Father Gabriel has an interest in Jadis, and that could be reciprocated. So I don't know. I saw an article on that, just a couple bits and pieces. But that does confuse the narrative a little bit. I did not know of that. AMC YouTube channel took the trailer. No, I'm not aware of that. There's a lot of good questions, a lot of good interaction, so I'm just kind of scrolling through one to see. Do I think we'll see a big role from Judith this season? I mean, I think we'll see an expanded role from Judith and maybe a little bit bigger storyline toward the end of it if the second time skip happens and if she's not with Rick. Samantha, I don't know. I'm not sold that it means anything other than just a little bit of peace and quiet. And when I see that picture, the first time I saw it without knowing about the time skips or anything else that would happen, I thought, okay, yeah, maybe they're heading out to some peaceful journey. But now the more I see it, I think Rick wants to enjoy the things with Judith that he didn't get to enjoy with Carl. That's kind of what it means to me. Like, Michonne doesn't look like the rugged warrior type. She looks happy, content, like she's in a relationship, getting ready to go out to a nice dinner or something. And Rick's the same way. And then they're bringing Judith out there to show her the birds and what the scenery looks like, because you don't get a chance to enjoy all that stuff. They're so busy fighting and they've neglected a lot. So I think it's just more kind of that serenity. I don't know that it means anything big for the story other than to set the mood a little bit. Yeah, Jack, I mean, as normal as possible. Samantha, I mean, here's what I'd say. In that picture, I did not see anything. Remember, the first time skip is only 18 months. So if it's the same Judith, I don't know. We're not talking about a 5 or 6 year time skip. We're talking about from where Judith is right now with Carl playing with the chalk, 18 months. I mean, she's going to be bigger. I don't know how much bigger she's going to be in less than 2 years. I mean, she ain't going to go from like 2 feet tall to like 4 feet tall in that time period. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's that. And if it is a flashback, I mean, it's right after the war happened, before. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some things that they showed that happened in the 18 months. I mean, we lose a year and a half. So, okay, maybe it's something they're thinking about that happened 6 months after they captured Negan or 12 months after they captured Negan. I don't think it's super relevant. I just don't think it's a point of contention. I didn't see it as being a big deal. There's a couple ways it can be worked. Jacqueline, I don't think Morgan is going to make it for a lot of the reasons we talked about on the stream a couple nights ago. So if John Bernthal's there, once again, there's probably 3 different scenarios that we talked about with Shane, whether I don't think Rick's dying thought's going to be of Shane. But maybe there was some conversation they had. Let me jump over to a couple super chats here. So, 1189 Paris says, I think seeing Walker Eric or his face on a whisper will freak Aaron out. It will. Paris, that would be ironic, wouldn't it? If if Eric bit Aaron's arm and they had to chop it off. Maybe one last hug. Come here. Get in here nice and good. Let me give you a little squeeze, and then Eric bites him on the arm. It's like, oops. That was I don't have a better answer for that one. I agree with you. I think seeing Walker Eric would not be good for Aaron. But maybe he's got to go find him to bring some closure. Take him out. Captain Crawfish says, I can see Father G and Ann hooking up. Love is blind. I get it. I see what you did there, Crawfish, because Father G's partially blind. We got it all working tonight. I mean, we don't have confirmation of it, but I mean, that would be a kind of a neat way for Aaron to lose his arm, and it would be a creative way for a Walker to bite him on the arm, because we've seen that happen over and over, is, he's out there looking for Eric, try to put him down, and slips and falls. You cannot have a horror movie or a horror type of TV show without a main character slipping and falling and Walker's catching up to them. So Legend 83 says, Kills, do you think Angela Kang will play around with these time jumps and move between times like in Westworld Potential Time? I do think that's what's going to happen. And I'll go back to what Samantha just posted about Rick, Michonne, and Judith being out in the field. Maybe Judith is 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Maybe it's right after it happened. But when they lock Negan up, it's been 18 months when the show starts. So we've got a year and a half to play around with. It doesn't mean that they won't go back and show us some of the stuff that happened in that 18 months. And in fact, I think they will. And then when they time skip it again, 5 or 6 years, I don't think that we're going to be completely sheltered from what happened in that 5 or 6 years. I think they're going to use it to their advantage and let you sort of piece it together. Like, I wonder what happened with such and such. And then maybe an episode or two later, like, oh, okay, now they go back in time and that's what happened. Not everybody's going to like it. I liked it with Fear the Walking Dead. But now what makes it even twice as confusing is the fact that Morgan is referring to Alexandria and trying to take them to Alexandria. So now you have basically the present possible on Fear the Walking Dead. You could have the future possible on Fear the Walking Dead. And in The Walking Dead, you could have past, present, and future. So you could have 5 different moments in time from each one of those. And they have to do it the right way. They have to do it to kind of ask a question and answer a question. Because if you ask too many questions, the time skip is going to blow everybody's mind. It's just going to be so confusing. So I think they'll take small steps in order to do that. Charles, you know what? That's as good as any theory that's out there. He's stumbling. We've thrown it out there with a couple different ideas that Rick might have one of the bodies that the Whisperers cut off their head. Rick could be carrying an injured Judith. But Rick could be stumbling, and Rick could be walking with Aaron, who just got bit and had to chop his arm off with his axe. Less likely it'll be Jesus because Aaron apparently loses his arm in 2 or 3. Rick's leaving the show in 5. And Jesus isn't supposed to die until 8 or 9. So I would say it's more likely to be Aaron. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with him carrying a injured Aaron. Randy Walden said 1,000% the blood on Rick's shirt, not his own. Well, I did not zoom in to the trailer, but I would say that we need to go back and check it out again to see if Aaron's running across the bridge. And that would give us because keep in mind, when we started talking about predictions and trying to figure this out, we said we're going to take a combination of the trailer, of social media, what the actors are doing, and the spoilers that are out there. So I have not went back and watched to see if Aaron is running across the bridge. But if he's not, I do think that that would give a little bit more validity to Rick was carrying Aaron. Rick drops down on a knee. They run by. So if he is on the bridge, then we know that happens before he loses his arm. That would happen very early. And Kimmy, I don't remember seeing Aaron on the bridge, but I could have overlooked it because honestly, I wasn't looking for him. I do remember watching it and trying to find scenes with Aaron in it, and the only one that I remember seeing him is Aaron is in a fight with one of the Whispers. Or I'm sorry, not one of the Whispers, sorry. With one of the Saviors. So that could be what happens as well. Remember, Daryl is fighting one of the Saviors and Aaron is fighting one of the Saviors. So something could happen on the bridge where, he gets his arm stuck or loses his arm in that fight. Right. That's what I remember as well, Samantha. I remember he was involved in a fight, but if he's not there running across the bridge, then it does give you a couple different possibilities. So, very possible it's Aaron's blood. And that would explain Rick struggling to walk. All right. You know what? Let's let it pass the official 999 Army test. So we know, or we've heard today, confirmation that Aaron will lose his arm in episode 3 or 4. We've seen the trailer where Rick is walking, blood dripping down on his boot, and he's stumbling. Are we okay with saying that Rick is carrying Aaron after he lost his arm? Let's see how many people are on board with that. I like it. I'm down. I think it would cover all the bases, that sneakiness that The Walking Dead likes to do of making you think that Rick's the one that's hurt. Does, right? That makes sense? All right. I mean, I'm okay with it. 75-80% of you said it makes sense. So he's not on the bridge when the fight scene happens. And that would also make sense of why he's not on the bridge when the fight scene happens. Either Rick just got through carrying him, or that happened at a different time, and they don't want to show Aaron running across with one arm because people are going to say, oh, something happened to Aaron. You know what? I don't know. Epic said, wouldn't Rick be helping him walk rather than carry him? If you cut my arm off, I don't know. I mean, hopefully it never happens. That would be enough shock to me that I would hope somebody would carry me. I just don't think one gets their arm chopped off and is like, okay, let me walk it off. I think... I definitely think I'd be passed out. Once again, yeah, I don't want to try it, and hopefully none of you volunteer. It'd be one of those things in a video like, do not try this at home. I mean, we see a lot of stuff on television. People get shot, and then, you know, an hour later they look like they're not shot. But somebody taking a hatchet and chopping off your arm would probably... it'd probably knock you out. Thanks, Crawfish. I appreciate that dedication. But we'll go back to what always happens in these trailers. The thing that we see that's the most obvious usually is not. So you got to figure people believe what they see, and when the Rick scene happened and blood was dripping down, almost everybody said it's Rick's blood, but there are a few people that wanted to dig down a little bit further, and I think that's kind of the challenge, is looking a little bit further and trying to find the exact areas where the writers trick us. And I think that is definitely an area where the writers are trying to trick us. But once again, let's go back to our principles of what makes a good theory on the 999 channel. Is this combination between what we visually see, asking the question of what if what we see is not the obvious, and we look for things that are a little bit more out there, a little bit more far-fetched, because the writers try to trick us. Then we got to combine what we know about the actors, and then we got to combine what we know about the actors' personalities, and then we got to combine spoiler information that we get that may not be complete. And I think when you take all of those elements, that it's as believable as not that Rick could be carrying Aaron, because now we know Aaron loses his arm. So now I think it makes it a little bit more believable that that could be what's going down. And that could be why Rick has blood on his shirt and various areas. And I would think it's more likely that Rick is helping someone that's injured rather than Rick is stabbed in the side. And imagine if it's, if there's a herd coming, then that would make it a little bit more believable. Rick is... Think about this also. If Rick is carrying Aaron and the blood is dripping down, and there are more walkers behind them, in essence, Rick is walking as slow as the walkers. And that would be kind of a neat scene, wouldn't it? Like Jaws. Here's Rick, and that would tie into the bridge scene. So here's Rick, trying to go faster, and these walkers are like in hot pursuit. and he's carrying Aaron, and the blood's dripping down, and he's going further and further, and finally gets close to the bridge, and he just collapses, lays Aaron down. Everybody sees something happen to Aaron, and then they see the walkers in close proximity. Daryl runs across the bridge, pulls out both knives. Bam. I could see that as having continuity. And I think sometimes we get theories that don't have continuity, like, okay, what are they doing on one side of the bridge? Who's there? Who's not there? If Aaron's not running across the bridge with both arms, then we can assume that this has happened after he lost the arm. If Aaron is not in the scene, we could also make the assumption that Aaron might have been carried by Rick. If Rick is down on one knee, he's exhausted. He sees the group, the cavalry's coming. He bends down to lay Aaron down. He can't drop him. So all of those, I'm good with it. Could still be completely wrong, but I'll have to wait till I see something that says it's not. Legend, you can ask me about Shane. I have no idea. I have no idea if he has filmed. They said he filmed for one episode. I have no idea if it's a flashback, if it's... I'm completely clueless when it comes to how Shane's role could fit into that, because I don't think it's going to be a Rick death scene and Rick is remembering Shane and not remembering Lori and Carl. I think, his priorities would be Lori and Carl. All right, we got a super chat. This is Jimmy's Jammin' says, Kills, do you still believe they are going to leave the book open on Rick? I'm still hanging in there. Jimmy, I do. But I have the ability to be swayed as well when people keep talking as if they know more information. Here's the two things that I have that are pulling against me saying that Rick's story is open-ended. Actually, I could probably give you 30 reasons why I think it should be open-ended and how it needs to play out. But here's the reason why I still think there's a small possibility he could die. Number one, I feel like Spoiling Dead fans know what happened to Rick, and they're not posting it. I find it very hard to believe that they know what happened to Aaron, they know what happened to Arat, they know what happened to Regina, they know what happened to Jesus, but they don't know what happened to Rick. I find that extremely hard to believe. Number two, and somewhere along the way, Brandon Davis got more connected with comicbook.com. Last year, a lot of his articles were based on really weird rumors and speculation. And then I think he's gotten a little bit more inside information because he's done some of the interviews at the Walker Stalkers and at the Comic-Cons. But up until 3 months ago, if comicbook.com would have posted something, I would have said, it's just a theory, just like anybody else. It's just conversation. But he's been doing some talk behind the scenes as far as prepare yourself. This is the way Walking Dead does it. Rick's probably going to die. I mean, he's done some of the other ones. But the fact that I think if there were two people that would know, it would be Brandon and it would be Shiny Firefly. And I think they're both withholding it because I think they've probably both been told to withhold it. Doesn't mean he's dying, but I think it means don't go definitive one way or the other, if that makes sense. So your question to me was, do I think he lives? Based on what I would do and based on what data visual that I can see, I'd say yes, he lives. But we know Walking Dead might mix it up for us. Let's see. Dawn of the Frank. Since Maggie is open-ended, I find it hard to believe that Rick will be open-ended as well, but I hope Rick will live somehow. And Dawn of the Frank, I do think that takes away from the possibilities of Rick living. So that would probably be the third thing I would throw in there. But you could make the argument that they have the exact same path and they leave together somehow. Or you could make the argument that Rick is injured or something happens to Rick, he leaves via helicopter, and Maggie lives a couple episodes longer and Maggie leaves via boat. And I'm okay with both of those. But it does lower the probability as well. Let me also say that when there were rumors out there about Rick being injured, it does absolutely look to me, and I've had this debate with people because I posted the picture, where Rick is being hugged by Maggie and Michonne, and that was posted, I think, on was Seth Gilliam's Instagram. But anyway, when they were doing that hug, when I zoomed in on the left side, it absolutely looks like a patch over the top of his shirt. Not a wrinkle. I know when I said it, people said it's just a wrinkle. I mean, standing straight up. So there is some discoloration in the shirt. Could be the way light hits it, but that would also be the way they would patch one of the blood tubes there as well. So Rick could be injured. And Jay Wood posted this. Jay Wood, I don't know what I'd have to do to convince you that that's not going to happen. I won't say you're the only person that has said that, but there is absolutely 0% chance that that's going to happen. There's no probability. There's no storyline for Rick crossing over to Fear the Walking Dead. He doesn't even know where they're at, for one. Number two, if you believe that Andrew wanted time away from the show, why would he go to Texas, which is further away from England than Atlanta is? I mean, if that's where they're going to be filming. I cannot see a possibility where Rick goes to Fear the Walking Dead. And I don't know why people continue to drive that point home. I mean, if you could give me like a believable storyline, I would entertain it, but there's just not one. All right, got another super chat. We're going to jump around. And this is 1189 Paris says, Maggie kills Rick out of anger, gets banished. Not the way to go, in my opinion. I think Rhonda brings up a good point, Paris. And thanks for that super chat. But after a year and a half, why would Maggie kill Rick and not just kill Negan? I would have a hard time of going with that. And I think, once again, she's probably had opportunities to kill Rick before that. So I don't know that she would wait after a year and a half. I know, she's busy raising her baby. And some people kind of think like, I'm going to show you. It could be like a leadership or to show, she's ready to take over. And the only way she could do it is to get Rick out of the picture. Maybe in that small scenario. But one thing the actors and the writers are saying is that the relationships will be tested. But one common theme I've heard is that they will all still have each other's backs. So Paris, I think with that and some of the other stuff that I've seen out there, I would find it really hard to believe that Maggie would lose her cool and kill Rick. good stuff. Jonathan Sedora. I like this. I'm going to read it kind of like that. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that. He says, hey, man, I don't know who you are, but every day at work I listen to your Walking Dead videos. Love what you're doing, man. Keep it up. Thank you for your service in the Walking Dead community. So, thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that. Now, Paris, I agree with that both actors want to leave the show. So it's a possibility they could tie it in together, and Maggie killing Rick would tie it in together. I don't see Maggie leaving as a villain, though. I mean, different things have happened. If they were going to tie it in together, I think it would have to be something to do with their kids, and then taking Judith and taking Herschel. Maybe Commonwealth. If they leave together, I think they'll both leave together on the same helicopter. That would be the only scenario I would see. And it would have to be something that would be quick, because or imminent danger, because there's no way Rick's going to leave Michonne behind to leave with Maggie. Jimmy's jamming. Kills. If Rick is not killed and is just taking some time off, Rick could make guest episodes, 1 or 2, I mean, if he's not dead. So, Jimmy, this is something that I do believe, and I do support this, but I think that they'll put Rick in a situation where he doesn't have to film. And I think it would be, Rick would be in a place, either be quarantined or be somewhere where he had to have radio communication. And that way Andy could just film himself talking. Just do the recordings and wouldn't have to leave. And would not be a huge, huge commitment to the show. Maybe do that for a couple years. As far as making guest appearances, yeah, he could do that. He could jump in for an episode or 2, but I think if he's going to be away, he's going to be away. So he's either going to die or it'll be just some verbal chat for a couple seasons. Julie, will we ever see a suicide like we did in the comics? Well, we've already seen one. I mean, Carl's was a suicide. Corporal says, Epic Army says, what are the chances that a Whisperer cuts off Aaron's arm? If they said this would happen around 5 or 6, maybe, but for Aaron to lose his arm in 2 or 3, when we don't think the Whisperers are even going to be hinted at until later, I think that's less likely. That would kind of go against what they've been kind of coaching up, is get ready for the Whisperers, because you still got to have a few episodes where other things happen. I don't know that they'll introduce the Whisperers in the 2nd episode of the season. I think that's way too early. Because if you do that, if Aaron's like, Rick walks up, hey, what happened to your arm? Hey, this walker was walking and he had a knife and cut me. Oh, man, that's tragic. I mean, that would kind of take away from the whole Eugene and Rosita finding out about the Whisperers at that moment. And to tie it into a Rick and Daryl fight, well, it looked like they were going away from somewhere instead of going to somewhere. Now, if they were coming back and that happened and Aaron was in the neighborhood, but the fact that they're taking this motorcycle ride, I don't know that Aaron's just going to happen to be there. It would be tough. Tammy Heitzman says, I think it would be cool to have Rick with radio contact and when Morgan is going. See, that, I absolutely. Absolutely, Tammy. Morgan and Rick talking on radio, and we don't know where Rick's at. What's happened to him? So, absolutely. And Jonathan, I will add you just in a couple minutes because we'll do shout-outs. We've been running about an hour. We got stuff that we'll talk about tomorrow night. So, yeah, hour and 1 minute flies by. So I will start out with, before I forget because it's going to screw up really fast, shout-out to Jonathan Zadora and also his daughter, Brooke Aldham Thomas Zadora. So thank you for being here and thanks for your support of the channel. Some confirmed death spoilers tonight, everybody. I'm going to recap just in case you logged in a little bit late. Warning, these are spoilers once again. Aaron is supposedly going to lose his arm in episode 2 or 3. Rot and Regina, both dead. Don't know how as of yet. Negan will get out of his cell. Lydia's been cast. Henry will take some of Carl's storyline. And sad news on the forefront. All these are reported by Spoiling Dead's fan page. Jesus will die in episode 8 or episode 9. And we think it has to do with the Whispers, which means Jesus might be one of the first to be decapitated. So that's what we got, everybody. Whole lot of questions. I know I didn't get a chance to answer everything. We'll get to you guys tomorrow night. So if you are brand new, down in the bottom right corner is a 999 logo. Hit that, subscribe. We really want you to join us every single night that we're here. Here's a little bit of our schedule. Monday nights, 9:30. Tuesday nights, usually 9:30. Last night was a little bit early. Wednesday nights, 9:30. Thursday, 9:30. And then Sunday nights, a little bit earlier. It's 8 o'clock. We do a Walking Dead countdown. But because Fear's on, we do Fear the Walking Dead countdowns. So this is the closing credits. I'm going to go back and watch the trailer a little bit more to see if there's a couple more details out there. So if you're still here, we're going to do shout-outs. If you're watching the playback, this is pretty much the end of the video. I do want to say a special thank you to all the people that are supporting the channel, both watching the videos, watching the ads, and through external sites. You can see Patreons up there, and that Patreon group continues to grow. Thank you so much to each and everybody listed there. And as I said, a brand new supporter of our channel joined yesterday was Rashonda Harrington. If you guys are interested in supporting 99 Gaming, 99 Army, there's a link down below to Patreon. You can do that. You get a few more details, a little bit of personal information here or there. Also, there's a join button. So in the top right corner, those are our members through the YouTube vehicle. So you can see they have a different color text. Julie McGuire, they get different emojis, all of that stuff. And I want to give a special shout out to all the moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, and Kels. And of course, no stream would be complete if I didn't give a shout out to all the people that make up the stream. 250, 300, 400 people on at different times tonight. Appreciate everything that you guys do. You are absolutely amazing. So give me a quick 999 in chat and let me holler at everybody who possibly can. If I don't get a chance to shout you out or to answer your questions once this video goes live, leave it in the comments and comment on other people's comments. That's a lot of fun. And here we go. Sam B, thank you for being here. Julie McGuire, Coma Drug, Kimmy B, thank you. Legend 83, Adam Woods, Newfield 12, Cammy, thank you. The Cat Nat, Lamont G 58, Ron Burgundy, Corporal Epic Army, Logan, Viola McGowan, James Dillon, Maria Favada, Lakeisha Faison, Michael Curie, thank you. Nicholas Scott, Howling Wolf, Gina Crockett, John Grant, thank you. Appreciate you being here, John. Mitch True, thank you. Captain Crawfish, what's up, Crawfish? Deborah Cox, Timothy Lamora, Aliconato. These are the Shout-nados, but I guess we could do a Like-nado. Not bad. Justin Barrett, Samantha Coombs, J-Spot, Crypto, what's going on? Sergeant Chosen One, Delmarva, thank you, man. Sorry about Jesus, sorry about the news, but I got to report it. Jimmy's Jammin', thank you, always a pleasure. Rob Metcalf, Nether Fox, Bumblebee Brown, Tina B, have a good night, thank you. Thanks, Tammy Heitzman. Keep rocking that 999 Our World Army, ranked number 3 in the world, everybody. So, hopefully we'll be number 1 soon. Our gameplay is killing it right now. Colleen Hayes, right, an hour goes by super quick. You look down, it's like, it's over? Yeah. Chris Rainig, what's up, man? Thank you so much. Appreciate all your support as well. Northside Queen, thank you. Have a good night. Janet C, Strangers Things as well. Thank you, Melinda Kettler. And Julie, I will assure you AMC knows about our channel. I mean, we rep their game. We're one of the top gaming guilds out there. We talk about their show. I'm sure they know us. Charles Lorena, they did. They use Walker NATO. I got a lot of messages. People were like, they just used our stuff. That's fine. Owen Boardman, thank you. I do. I'm playing Our World right now with the 999 Army. All right, just another minute or so. I think I missed a couple more shout-outs. Darlene Rainey, thank you as well. Crystal Gore, thank you. Appreciate everything you do as well. And just as a reminder, we do have 2 other groups. You guys are just getting started with gameplay. There's 999 Casual, and you will see Steph and also Emmy in there. And also 999 Gaming has been formed, and that should start filling up soon as well. All right, everybody. Thanks for everything you do, and I will talk to you all tomorrow night. Have a good night. Peace.